Hello, dear friends. Today's guest of Power of Law is Deputy Head of Social Security Department, Armen Abrahamyan. Mr. Abrahamyan, thank you for accepting our invitation and coming in. I hope you don't mind if we talk a little about pension system, since I think society and youth are interested in issues of this area, now that we're reforming the process especially. Recently, the society found out about violations taking place in the pension system. After that, there were staff changes and in the system in general. I think the society would like to know what mechanisms have been put in place to exclude opportunity for corruption and for violations. Thank you for your invitation. When we talk about violations, we need to understand that some of them were of objective and others of subjective nature. The procedures that provided for financial flows into the state budget did not allow technically to oversee their performance in transparent manner. Specifically, in latest years, we tried to use information technologies to tackle and minimize the realized errors leading to violations. Because when the official knows that the process is monitored and all violations will be discovered, he acts in one manner, while when there is no system of oversight, he acts differently. We installed a new system that put in order and organized the information using process related to other identification provision. First was the system of residence registrar, which encompassed all residents of Armenia and solved those issues. The other one was the registrar of deceased residents, which, as you know, is run by the Civil Registry Office. We made an agreement and managed to be in one system and minimize the availability of dead people in the list, in any lists. So when a resident passes away, we receive information immediately from relevant state agency and make the change into the list to exclude paying to dead people and violations. Also, there is PUNIC register, which contains information on pensions on persons with disability, so we agreed to compare our data with them, so if a person is not of pensioner age or is not a disabled person, he or she cannot apply for pension. He or she must be registered, and only after checking that we can talk about the size of pension and registering it. We also set up hotline so citizens can call and get advice or share complaints. So we tried to regulate what was related with state provision of the big money. We have saved a lot of money with this. And we used the money to increase benefits to army-related beneficiaries, families of deceased soldiers, back in September last year. So you made it more targeted. It's not just about the addressee, but also how to deliver the money, on whether it is lost on the way or not, whether you have other expenditures. It's not like corruption is only paying dead people. It was more complicated and needed more complex solution, which we did. We now have 180 employees and we are developing culture that you can't waste money for the poor people. Today we have political will. Highest officials have made their stance clear, so now professionals need to develop the system. It's a whole complex of actions, and I hope it will come to fruition and establish an exemplary system in pension area. Now we are in reforms process, and I understand it will take some years to accomplish it. What stage are we in right now? Today, pension system is based on generation conciliation principle, which is distributionary. One generation is supporting the other. It is not due to good conditions that we have the level of pensions that we have today. It is one working generation providing for the other right now. Second, as far as I know, according to statistics, Armenia has more pensioners than working people. Of course, I mean registered workers. I think, as far as I remember, we have about 500,000 pensioners, and the number changes. It is dynamic. I can say that the number of active pension receivers are about 500,000. Since we have one function which is receiving individual reports from employers, I can say that in Armenia, employers pay social taxes for over 700,000 people. Here we deduce people who work in two places, of course, but I think at least we also count the shadow economy, which we know to exist. I think that today's administration can't be blamed that the number of working and pension receiving people is equal. If 7 years ago 450,000 working people were paying social taxes, were providing for 700,000 pensioners in 2003-2004. Today we have more people paying for social funds and less pensioners using that. And coming back to the reforms, where are we now? Today, in addition to the generations conciliation principle, we are also suggesting that the state introduces addition accumulative accounts, where the social payments will be deposited, for which much work is being done right now, so we can make sure that person's payments are proportional to his payments. In some countries it worked, in others it didn't. Those who succeeded are not paying the pensioners solid pensions and are providing a truly dignified elderhood. But if the government is not attentive, if violations take place, if citizens don't act in an informed manner in depositing their social payments, then there are problems. As one can say, pay me and I'll return you 10 millions when you're old, but may let citizens down. So it's important to have trustworthy institutions so that at the end of the day citizens don't face a bankrupt account. However, in any case, a minimal pension will be provided. But we need control mechanisms, which I believe are being put in place by Treasury, Central Bank, and the fund managers must be also in light of this, under transparent monitoring. We also created a fund that will deal with financial literacy of citizens, as it is important that citizen chooses whom he can trust for the pensions. I believe we will be inviting specialists in the area to discuss the pension reform in the awareness component in our future programs, as our polls also show a low awareness in this area. Mr. Abrahamyan, our polls also show, and I think we can all see that it seems like artificially, some employers set a pension age at 25 years, and they advertise jobs for people under 25 years, good-looking people, etc. And it seems for people over 30, it becomes harder to find a job. And the feeling is that thousands of people over 30 or 40 years old, up to 63, are beyond the social security system in this regard. And they are not also able to receive any benefits, and they can't work. Well, if a person has professional skills and abilities, he will be able to find a job on the market in Armenia with good salary. It's like that around the world. It's another issue that some Soviet time received knowledge may not be competitive on the market. People who have such education and no experience, they have a problem finding a job. This is a problem, and the government also has the employment agency, which tries to train people and retrain them like that and get them to find a job on the market. Now, another issue, and I slightly disagree here, in some countries, the state provides tax benefits to employers for employing people over 40 or 50 and people with disabilities. But if we do that in Armenia, it will boost corruption risks, and instead of helping, we will just increase the shadow. So it's not desirable. Unfortunately, our society and employers are not ready to employ disabled people, those who become disabled, defending their country to ensure cheap prestige or benefits. So I believe in this regards we can't do reforms at this moment. And the last question, what should state-citizen relationship be like? You know, I believe state-citizen relationship should be without debts, but with obligations on both sides. Like a two-way street. So it's not like the government must do this or that, like when a taxi drivers take you here or there. He keeps complaining about government, this and that, but when you see how he is driving, you realize that if you give him any power, I don't even know what he may do to the country. It will fall into chaos. Yes, it will be total chaos, literally. So I think the first issue is if you complain about something, you shouldn't make the same mistakes, or first correct your own flaws and then criticize others. So the first issue is obligation. It should start with himself. Of course, each person must start with himself, believe in himself and find victory in himself, change himself, be the way he wants the country to be with his friends and family, etc., and only then demand. And of course, we must have the precedent of defending their rights, citizens defending their rights. If he only wants to complain and not demand anything, then I don't know. Because when people talk about corruption and don't demand proper action themselves, I think they don't have the moral right to expect proper treatment. First, you must do something. You must strengthen your country. It may sound a little nationalistic, but that's how it is. The fatherland is not just for serving and demanding. You must serve, but the government officials who perform duty, they must appreciate and be appreciated. The officials must give what the government authorized them to. They must serve. I think also citizens must be prepared to do what they are offered to. They can't commit to any job and then fail. If you can't do it, don't do it. If the salary is not good, don't take it. It will increase salaries and demand for the profession in the future. But if you start working and then complain about the salary and about the low salary, for Christ's sake, quit the job. Low salary is not ground for stealing or for taking a bribe. It's how people justify themselves these days. People try to be moral and justify themselves in that way. In this regards, I think citizens has rights and obligations. Obligations must be implemented without exception. State symbols must be respected. Rights must be defended to create precedents to strengthen the state. Thank you very much for the interview, Mr. Abrahamyan, Deputy Head of Social Security Department. We heard his observations about corruption risks in the system. Now let's see what our citizens think about it. Follow our future programs. Goodbye. Do you receive pension on time? Yeah, I get it on time. Yes, we get it on time. Yes, I get it on time and via ATM machine. Yes, on time. Absolutely. I get my pension on time. We get it on time, thank you. Yes, sometimes even earlier. Yes, I'm not receiving pension yet, haven't reached the age. But nor am I hired for any work, as they say I'm old and not good looking. But how am I supposed to live? Does your pension handler keep a percentage to himself? Never, we're very happy. I get it at the square post office, nobody keeps anything. No, but some people do, and not because they are asked to, but when a person knocks on your door, gives you pension, you sometimes want to thank him, just 100 or 200 dams and that's it. They used to, but now they moved it to the square office and it doesn't happen anymore, no. No, they properly give it. No, none. No, never. They give full sum, no deductions. We get on cards, no deductions. I don't get for so long that both I and he get it. Are you familiar with pension system reforms? No. I know that those will receive pension who paid a percentage of their salary to the state. No. Yes, I attended yesterday an event at governor's office, so I learned that. It's got to work, will probably work. No, I'm not familiar. No. We need to be optimistic and believe it will be justified. Do you think the government can raise the pension, and if so, at what means? I don't know at what means, but they definitely must raise it. This pension is a mockery to the pensioners and the old people. It's hard to say in times of crisis. What is the pension of 30,000 that they don't give it at 60 years of age? Of course they can, since taxes increase every year. From budgets. Yes, they must have a chance to increase it. They must create jobs for young people at the means of benefits and not at the expense of increasing prices. First, we must nationalize our natural resources. I'm not a state official to say at what means. Of course, they must increase. The upper people, the presidents and other people, they get so much money and regular citizens so much less. Utility payments grow by day. Process grow by day. Not right now, and you can't blame the government for everything. Things must be created in turn. In turn, at this stage we must be able to understand at least that. As to what means everybody knows, jobs, work, pension funds, which are not developed yet. How can they not have it if the government spends so much money on things? If they want, they can increase. By %% they can increase, but they don't want to. It's hard as we don't have factories, jobs, we only demand from government. But we can't give anything in return. We all demand from government, but where from? There must be jobs to help them, but we only demand from the government. You must get people to work to harvest the benefit from it. Reduce state apparatus, it's just too big. It depends on them. What can I say? If they want, they can increase or cut what we have even. Well, they need to increase. What can we do? They lie they will increase, but I can't answer your question frankly, but it would be good if they did increase. It's okay, let them keep this rate, but get the prices down. They don't need regular citizens. You have to be an oligarch to be needed by them.